Oh, hey, so yeah, it's really funny thinking about trying to. So okay, I'll explain. Static latching is where you're kind of like you're kind of doing something slippery, and and it goes kind of like ka-chunk, and it gets on the latch, and then it tries to go again, and then it like ka-chunk, and then it's like you're trying to keep whatever progress you've made, right? You're trying to establish whatever progress you've made. Um, And doing that in the context of non-duality, it's so slippery and it's so funny because the whole point of all of this is there's nothing at all to grasp, but at the same time, as a human, it's so easy to get back lost in the story again, back lost in the thoughts because they're loud and undifferentiated consciousness can be very quiet uh, or can seem very quiet when there's blah 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 up here and here and so it's like I don't want to lose the progress that I've made in the past few days. And I don't know if this video is going to do anything at all, but um, anyway, I feel like doing it, so I'm going to do it. Um, but yeah, that unbound consciousness, or what Rupert Spira calls pure being, that all pervasive. How are you supposed to describe it? The thing about, I mean, it is defined by being indescribable. So try because you any way that you qualify it, it is no longer the there's no words, but I'll try. It's no longer the oceanic totality from which all things, all appearances spring. And the body, of course, when you even come close to this, freaks the F out because I should say mine does. I don't know about yours. Um, because it's so neutral and it's so, I mean, neutral is a stupid word. It's kind of an ugly word in our language. What's a better word than neutral? Totally allowing? I can use words like all pervasive, all encompassing that I heard a billion times and meant nothing to me until I could actually touch into it. Talking about the screen that the movie's projected onto. I couldn't really grasp that either. I couldn't really get it. So I'm not sure what words to put on it that will even point myself back to it reliably if and when I get lost. I do know that when I had the no self, or the whatever, when parts of my identity structure appear, it felt like they were collapsing. It can leave me in this sort of sensory purgatory where it's like, oh, there's thoughts, sensations, and perceptions, and what the fuck do I do with them? But then it's kind of like by asking the question, you're getting back into the character, some character. I mean, it's a much more amorphous character as time goes on, but it is not. It is still. It's still remnants of identity, of thinking that there's somebody here who needs to do something. So, I mean, I guess for now, the answer is if I have a task, do the task. If I'm playing with my daughter, play with my daughter. If I'm brought up short, I can read a good book. I mean, there's so many good options these days. Lately, it's been video after video after video, and I'm finally starting to get kind of sick of that. I mean, as far as watching videos. So look at me making a video when I'm sick of watching them. I don't claim to make sense of anything, so by the way, look at my little socks. Aren't they festive in the little drying rack? It's like Buddhist prayer flags or something. I don't know why that makes me happy when I see my little socks drying in the background. On my celestial calendar, so then I know when the moon rises and falls and whatnot and what phase it's in, and some other stuff, other celestial stuff. It's a really, really cool world for people who have the luck to be on the upper end of things, not being genocided, not living in a rainy tent. I was thinking today in the kitchen about how people like Isaac Newton. I mean, I'm sure he had servants. He was upper crust guy, right? So he didn't have to worry about cooking and cleaning and all those peasant things, And as time goes on, more and more people have that luxury in a sense because we have more and more automated things. But of course, the ruling class tries to find new ways to make us feel desperate and like we can't luxuriate and explore in this precious time that we have. In part by bombing orphans in tents and somehow thinking that's going to, I don't know, make money for their cronies and reshape things in their image. I don't know, it's pure madness. I'm getting way off topic, I'm sorry. But the point is, let's assume for a moment that I don't exist, nobody exists. It's a play of light and shadow and thought and drama and it's going to end up being a bad dream for good or a bad dream, whatever kind of dream it is, and maybe a learning experience. And when you wake up at the end, when you die, it's all good. Maybe even everybody chose their reincarnation, their incarnate, whatever it is. So I mean, I don't know. One of the biggest sticking points for me through all of this is that it's one thing for me to say I don't exist. It's one thing for me to say my little story doesn't matter. It's much more painful to say it doesn't matter that people are getting bombed in tents with my tax dollars. I can't do that. But is it really different from, I mean, just because I know some of them, just because it's a place near and dear to me and people I care about, Is it different than any of the other atrocities in the world? Just because it's on TikTok, just because it's on in our faces. The in our faceness of it might, I mean, that might be the most, taking myself and my own feelings out of the equation, that might be the most actually revolutionary or novel or importantly different thing about this, because so many people who never gave a thought to what American weapons are doing all over the world are suddenly horrified and doing things about it because they're so horrified, and seeing that the powers that be do not give a single shit. Not what we say, not what we do. Doesn't matter who we vote for. You know, the good guys, according to many people, are the ones who just sponsored more than a year of genocide. And then they're going to hand it over to a pathetic toddler and his dorky friends, you know. And the limits of our power as people is being very overtly shoved in our faces, and people don't tend to take that forever. And you know, probably part of the reason that they're field testing, bombing the shit out of people who don't do what they want them to do. Because once they perfect that art, then they have all the weapons and we don't, and then what? We're even more powerless. And you know, like I say, I think maybe for me, non-dual came just in time, or who knows? Maybe non-dual is a big bypass. The whole thing is me trying to escape a world that keeps being so vastly disappointing. I'm always open to that. I'm not a fundamentalist. If there's new evidence or new anything, I'm open to it. I do what works until it doesn't work anymore or until something better comes along. It's the scientific method in your own life, you know, my own life. I said in my 20s, I'm never going to lose sight of the fact that maybe I'm completely full of shit, because um, I think it's dangerous to ever doubt that you can never be that you can, how do you say, dangerous to doubt that you can be fooled, deluded. I mean, we don't know anything. We're children. Nobody tells us it. Nobody, I mean, some humility is called for, is all I'm saying. Okay, what the hell was this video supposed to be about? Static latching. Yeah. So, yeah, just trying to remember that the ocean is there. I've touched it. And I've gone through enough Kundalini, I've gone through enough feelings of my heart being flayed open over and over and over and over again. I've tempered myself. I haven't done shit. Something is tempering something. Who fucking knows? Connecting. I don't know. I'm gonna try my best with words, but just understand. God help these teachers who are trying to point to this shit. But yeah, it's so slippery because it cannot be defined. It can be not be described. It cannot, by definition, it has no properties. So what the fuck are you supposed to say about something that has no properties? It has the property of having no properties. Yeah, I think Rupert's one pointing where he asked how do you know you exist, was probably, it was the pointing that finally broke through for me. And this sort of got me to a place where I could even begin to touch onto what the hell unbound consciousness, oceanic sense, all that kind of stuff is. I'll try to link to that in a comment or description or something. Um, yeah, it's very slippery, very easy to, because you can't hold it in your mind. So if your mind's going 50,000 miles an hour, who or what is there to point you back to, well, not back, whatever, point you to this delicious sense of what once felt like terrifying neutrality. In a sense, it's the opposite of neutral because, I don't know, neutral just sounds bland, beige, uninterested. This is more like vibrantly uninvolved, encompassingly clear, everythingly nothing. I don't know, man. Everythingly. I think I used the word brimming void when I had my mystical experience when I was in my 20s. I think that's not a bad one, but even that, liquid reality. And it starts to pulse. It starts to like undulate. Like your fingers feel like they're kind of doing this even when they're totally still. Like it's not, they're not the ones moving and the space is moving. And there's no way to get there. It's just a matter of, and there's no you to remember to get there or to be there or to try to get there or anything. Very slippery. Tricksy little unbound consciousnesses. So But yeah, I kept having after the identity structure partially collapsed, I kept having moments where I'm trying to grapple as far as who am I, what am I supposed to do, and I forget that there's no I and there's no supposed to, and so it just feels like grappling, trying to scrabble up the side of a slippery cliff face, and it feels so futile and uncomfortable, but I don't know what else to do, and so now finally I'm just remembering I have something else to orient to, which is being itself, and, it's not so scary anymore. My body doesn't freak out so much, so it's more accessible. It's less like a, "Whoa, what the fuck was that?" Like, it's more like, "Okay, okay, we can do this." It's still I mean, it still kinda gives me the willies a little bit, I'm not gonna lie, because there's a sense that there is something in the character that's like, "No, no, 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 I matter, my pain matters, my story matters," and I don't wanna tell her like, "No, it doesn't. No, you don't." But somehow even she kinda knows that it's going, and we don't have a choice, and we're kind of excited too. Yep, that's it for today. Cheers.